All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go through this review. And as you well know, my reviews are very similar to my quizzes, right? No surprises. No surprises. So, can you tell me what standard form of a quadratic equation looks like? You're telling me the vertex. How's everybody doing here? Ring a bell to you? Basically, this one is the one that has no parentheses. Okay, so now, what is the vertex in this form? How do we calculate it? Ringing a bell? It's been a little while since we've done these problems, right? Okay. What is vertex form of a quadratic equation? This one has parentheses in it, right? There we go. Looks good. And then what is the vertex in this form? Questions for me, folks. We're all good? Okay, so we're going to need this for what we're doing today. Describe in one complete sentence how to tell if a quadratic equation has a maximum or a minimum. So tell me how I know whether it looks like that or it looks like that. If the squared term has a positive, then it is what? A minimum. If it's positive, it's a smiley face, right? What if it starts with a negative? Then it's a maximum or the frowny face. So you need to write me a complete sentence that says that. What is the U shape called? A parabola. Okay, great. Ready to graph? Yeah? Take a look at your directions. Do you see all those directions? Do you see how I've provided you with a line for all of those answers? So you're going to put the answer on the line. Makes it easier for me to grade. Okay. Is that standard form or vertex form? Standard. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and write that underneath there. What does letter A ask me to find? The vertex. Okay, since this is standard form, I'm going to use negative b over 2a. What is the b right now? So what are you going to make it? Over 2 times what's the a? So what's actually in the denominator? And then when you divide, what do you get? Folks, how we doing so far? Coming back to you? Then how do I find the y value? Plug it in. Now when you plug in that negative 3, it needs to go in parentheses. Negative 4, he says. Can I get a second on that? Yeah, negative 4. Okay, so that is my vertex. So that's going to go over here. And you probably can go ahead and graph that point over there while you're at it. What's letter B ask you for? Axis of symmetry. It has to cut it right down the middle, which means it has to go through the vertex. And that means it's going to have to be vertical. So what variable does that equation need to start with? X equals what? You just said -3 is the x value. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in my axis of symmetry. Okay, I think we are ready for Desmos. Go for it. How'd you do? Good? Okay, so let's answer the rest of our questions. What's letter C ask me for? The y-intercept? What's the y-intercept? Right here it is, 0, 5. And I can put that on there, can I? And then I can count how many boxes away is that? That's 3 boxes away. So because it's symmetrical, if I count 3 boxes away, I should have another point. All right, what does letter D ask you for? Okay, what's the domain of this thing? All real numbers. Now you told me, oh, never mind. We haven't said if this is a max or min yet. This is a min. It's a min, which is down here, right? Letter E. Okay. If this is a min, does it have a high point or a low point? It has a low point, which means the y's will always have to be greater than or equal to. How low does the y go? -4. Yep, we only want the y value there. Okay, we've got all our questions answered. I just need a couple more points for my parabola. So can you find me a set of nice points? -1, 0, he says, which is right here, which is 2 boxes away. So we go 2 boxes away, and it looks like that. Now, there probably are some more points you could find, but I only ask you for 5, and we've got 5 on there. So go ahead and make sure you connect your dots. Make sure it is rounded. This is not a V shape, it's a U shape, so you want to try and make it a little bit rounded there at the bottom. There is, it's an absolute value, and you'll do those in Algebra 2. Everybody good? Okay, moving on. Number 2. What form is number 2 in? Vertex form. So I'm going to go ahead and write vertex form. Either above that or below that, whatever works out for you. Letter A was the vertex. So what is the vertex here? It's supposed to be H comma K, right? What number is in the H spot? 1, but you know you have to make that negative, right? So it's going to be -1, comma, what number is in the K spot? 0. There is no number there, so we're going to use 0. -1, 0 is my vertex. Letter B, axis of symmetry. If I have this line, cut it down the middle, what would that equation be? Say it again, Shane. Wonderful. I could probably answer letter E here. Is this going to be a max or a min? A min, because it has a positive squared term. So this will be a min. All right, let's go ahead. How's it look, guys? Everybody's good? Sure? All right, letter C wants to know the y-intercept. 0, 0.5. So let's put that on there. 0, 0.5. And that is 1 box away, isn't it? So we'll go 1 box away. Gives me a symmetrical point. How about the domain here? Real numbers, this thing goes to the left and to the right, doesn't it? To the left, to the right, up, down, or both? Only goes up, which means the y's also have to be greater than, because we're going up. How low do the y's go? 0. Okay, can somebody find me one more set of points? One comma 2, which is 2 boxes away from my axis of symmetry, which means I've got a U shape that looks something like this. Now, I believe we talked about this very, very briefly. Why does this one look wider than the one above it? What is smaller? The fraction is a half, right, folks? If you've got a fraction out front, it will make it wider. What if I have a regular number like a 4 out front? It would make it thinner. Okay, wide versus thin. Good. On to the back. Vertex form or standard form? Okay. So what is the vertex here? You're thinking standard form. Go back to vertex form for me. That's okay. HK? What's the H? Right now it's 5, but you're going to make it -5. What's the K? -3. Does that one get switched? No, we stay -3. Okay. Next up, I have an axis of symmetry, which is vertical, cuts it right down the middle. What is the equation of that axis of symmetry? X equals -5. Somebody tell me why it has to start with an X. Not really. No. Why is it X equals and not Y equals? No. Oh. If that thing's vertical, which we said it is, right? Does it ever cross the y-axis? If it never crosses the y-axis is here. If it never crosses the y-axis, it can't have a y in it. So the only variable it's allowed to have is an x, right? Well, don't write this. If I have a line that's like this, it never crosses the x now, does it? So that'd have to be y equals something. Make sense? Okay. So let me get rid of that now. Okay. Going back. What was letter C? Something I need a graph for, right? So let's go ahead and put it in Desmos if you haven't already. Okay, so we have -2. How we doing, guys? So you're going to have to really move down, aren't you? You're saying 0, -53? Well, I can't really put that on my graph over there, can I? That's okay. Domain. Range. Is this thing a max or a min? This thing is a max, which means it has a high point or a low point. If it has a high point, all the y's have to be lower than, which is less than, -3. Correct. Good. Okay, can you find me some more points? -4, -5, he says, right here. So then we'd count over and we'd have a point there. Is there another one that we might be able to squeeze on there? Say it again. -7, -11. Now that technically is not on our graph, but we can make it work, right, folks? Would you say that this parabola is thinner, wider, or pretty normal? Pretty thin? Tell me why it's pretty thin. Because the 2 up there, you see that 2 in front? Yeah. Any questions there? Nobody? Are you sure? Okay. Do you need this? No. Okay, take a look at number 4. What's the issue with number 4? Not in order. Can you put it in order for me? If we put this in order, what does it look like? How are we doing here? Good? All right, so what form is this? This is standard form. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. How do I find the vertex in the standard form? Negative b over 2a. What is my negative b? Oh, that is easy. B is going to be 6. Right now it's -6. So you're going to make it +6, correct? Okay. So 2 times what's the a? Okay, so this is really 6 over 2. What's 6 over 2? Wonderful. What am I going to do with that 3, folks? Okay. And you get 2 dos zwei. That's not Spanish. Zwei is German. Eins, zwei, drei. They used to teach German here when I was in school. So you say no. Got your vertex on there? Draw your axis of symmetry in, please. What is the equation of the axis of symmetry? Will this thing be a max or a min? Min? Okay. All right. Let's put it in there. Questions for me, folks? No? Got a y-intercept for me? 0, 11. Domain? All real numbers. This thing was a min. That means everything is greater than it. Good. How about some points now? 5, 6. Looks good. Which is 2 away. Got another one for me? Four, 3. Would you say that this thing is normal, thin, or wide? I would say it's pretty normal because this thing starts with a 1, right? 2 would make it a little bit thinner. 3 would make it thinner yet. 10 would make it super, super thin. A half makes it a little wide. A third makes it wider. A tenth makes it extremely wide. Not really. How's everybody doing with the graphing part? Can we move on to answering the next questions? Okay. Determine the zeros of each equation by graphing. Folks, zeros are what? They're answers. They're where it crosses the x-axis. They're x-intercepts, right? So put it on a graph and tell me the answers. This one doesn't have one, you say? Nope. Doesn't touch, does it? No solution. Okay. Let's do the next one. Yes. And you're saying my answer for number 6 is what? 1 and 5. Okay. Next section says, estimate the roots to the nearest tenth. What's a root? An answer. A 0. An x-intercept. So what are you going to do? Put it in. Tell me where it crosses the x-axis. And because it says estimate, I'm probably going to think they're not going to be very nice numbers. Okay, hold on. You're getting ahead of me here. All right, now I'm ready. Everybody go with 2.8, 5.2? Yep, go for it. Questions there, folks? Okay. Moving along. Fireworks are next. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my equation in here first, so that's all ready to go. And then we'll go ahead and read. Just see what we need to find here. Okay, so we have some fireworks that are fired vertically into the air from the ground. The fireworks flight can be modeled by, okay, so if this is the equation of the flight, what shape will it make? A parabola, because why? It goes up and comes down. What about the equation tells me that, though? It's squared, and the negative tells me it's upside down like that. All good? Okay, at what height were they fired? Now, where on my graph am I going to look at that? Right here, 0, 0. I want to know where it crosses the y-axis. 0. So that makes sense because fireworks are fired on the ground, right? Okay, so 0 what? Yep, 0 feet. Letter B, how high did the fireworks go? Where does that happen here? The peak, the vertex. There's 2 numbers up there, though. The y. The first one is the time. The second one is the height. So 1 what? 1 foot. That's a dud, right? And actually, I don't know that I even gave you a unit, so maybe it's not feet. Okay. How high were the fireworks after 2 seconds? So, 2 seconds. Is that a height or a time? Which is what variable here? X. So, I can either take this 2 and plug it in like that, or I can look at my graph where the X is 2, which is going to be way down there. So I think I'll just plug it in. What do you get? You get negative 48. But wait a second. That would be like into the ground. So what are you going to tell me? They're on the ground, right? Okay. How long were they in the air? Where do you see that? X-axis is the ground, so they were only in the air half a second. Yep, this was a dud. Half a second, it was back on the ground, only went 1 foot high. Number 10. Why don't you go ahead and get that in on Desmos, please? Yes, yes, yes. How did you guys tell me to change the color on this again?
You just click on the line and like on the top
right here. Right here?
Yep.
I just don't like it to be black because then it's the same color as the axes. Okay, so here we go. A ball is kicked into the air and follows a path described by that equation. What type of an equation is that? It's a parabola. It's a quadratic. Why do we know that? How do we know that? It's squared. Second power. T is time in seconds, and h of t is the height in meters above the ground. How far is the top of the ball from the ground? This is the starting height, right? My y-intercept is always the starting height. So when I kick the ball, my foot is where? 0.6 meters. How high does it go? I didn't tell you what to round, so just put them all in there. Good. 2.437 meters. When does it, when is asking for a time. When does it reach the max height? 0.612 seconds. How long is it in the air? Perfect. 1.317 seconds. Does anybody have any questions about this review? Nobody?